I'm here with everyone from the Omro Heist. How you guys doing today?
Hello.
Hey, hello, Eric.
First thing I want to go through is we got actor, a writer, actor. What's the collaboration? Because I always ask people what the collaborations, like, but I never get the full group of people. Like, how do you guys come together and work on this? And what's your process of, hey, I got an idea, run it by the director, is this the writer's original intent, stuff like that.
It started all with Ken. I'll let you. Ken is a producer like with me, and it started with him, and I'll let him tell the story of how it came about.
Yeah, hi. I live in Omro, and I moved up here many years ago from Milwaukee. I own Omro Pharmacy. I'm a pharmacist, and I bought a bank building in our neighboring city, sister city, Winneconne. And I thought, oh my goodness, I walked in, it had this beautiful safe and it looked like a wonderful bank. I called Simon up and I said, hey, you come down here. He was up in Canada. And I said, come on down here and take a look at this. I think it might be a really good location for a movie because banks are typically very difficult to get. So Simon took a ride and drove down here with his son. And we spent a few days together and he took a look at the location and that was it. He went back and started the writing, and so we basically reversed it. We found the location, and now we needed a script. So that's how it started. And then Simon, you can pick it up from there.
Yeah, so it's like being given a canvas when somebody tells you where the edges are, and this is the playground. This is what you've got. I know because of having done this with Ken before, having worked with Jamie on several projects, that we would do something in about a week. So setting something in this contained environment of high stakes energy, a bank robbery film. It was always something that we wanted to do. It was just now a case about working out how to do it and what was the best way to flex within those sort of parameters. So it was great fun, and I took some videos and stuff on my first trip, shared it with Jamie, and then we went through. We built the world from there up, and then came along casting. Ken and Anthony know each other for many years. They knew each other as teenagers, so 80 or 90 years ago, they were teenagers, and so they were actually Ken was asking Tony for recommendations on a female actress in Wisconsin because we wanted to cast locally. And whilst we didn't get one in Wisconsin, we got one from near enough Chicago. But at the same time, we were reeling. Tony probably had no idea that we were using this to reel him in slowly as well. We got him interested in the story, interested in the script, and probably now that we can tell him it was all a big ruse just to trap him in as well.
It looks like you guys have worked together quite a bit previously. What kind of shorthands do you develop during that amount of time?
Simon and I have made 7 movies together, and Simon has written, I think, pretty much all those scripts. And so Simon will give me the script. We'll have the submarine, the bank, or whatever, and we just walk through each bit of it before we shoot. But like a lot of there's no storyboards. I don't think we've ever storyboarded much of anything. A few things here and there, but not much of anything. So our shorthand's like really, really tight. Well, Simon will write something that is very brief in the script that it's going to be a 3-minute segment or something in the film, and we have to figure out what that is. And that's a lot of fun for me. And over doing this for seven movies, that I remember one time I was filming Simon from behind the head. Our shorthand is this tight that he knew that I wasn't happy with the angle that I was getting, even though he was facing the opposite way of the camera. He just stopped what he was doing. He said, Jamie, what do you need? And it just freaked me right out. But that's how short our shorthand is now.
It's good. It makes it when you're doing a film in a week, you need that, and we've definitely perfected that art over. This was a great example. This is one of the more luxurious shoots because the location that we're filming in wasn't that alien. We filmed in like nuclear bunkers and submarines and much more challenging spaces. So this bank was nothing short of luxurious for us. But at the same time, it presents different problems for lighting and stuff. There's a ton of window, and Jamie had an idea about how he wanted to shoot scenes and things like that. So it's good. It's good that we're able to get there fast on that, because the faster we figure out what the solution is, the better the movie turns out.
And I have to say, other locations we shot in too, like a submarine, is cool already, or we're shooting in an abandoned boiler room and it looks neat already. But what really intimidated me with the bank is that, like, how do you make a bank look like a movie? But I think we pulled it off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you were talking about like shorthands, like in the screenplay. Do you get like just like 30-page screenplays for a full feature? And it's like,
no.
We don't need.
Well, no, but usually 90 pages, but sometimes less. So sometimes it's like, and then there's a big fight, and then kind of fill in the blanks, whatever. But those Simon scripts are normally 90 pages when he's finished, somewhere around there. But we might go in and completely change sections of it. as we're filming it or add something, or as you're filming too. I don't know. Did we think of the Apple idea? I think it was just on set, wasn't it, Simon?
No, that was just you on set. In fact, that was scripted out a little differently. Anyway, it was you that came up with even the way that was staged. We do a lot of that. So, I mean, I get the credit of writing it, but realistically, it's a very collaborative process between myself, Jamie, and Ken. And even when the actors come in, they have thoughts and notions, and you just get to add all their collective genius into the script, but the script is sort of an evolving document. It isn't really finished when we start shooting. It's just beginning, really, and it takes a life of its own. And then the edit, it takes another life of its own. In fact, this movie was, as Ken was telling someone earlier, we screened the original movie narratively straight, in a linear fashion, and then we decided to make, based on some audience feedback, and after a preview screening of the movie, we changed the cut of the movie, changed it, but it wasn't scripted like that. But again, it's every iteration of the filmmaking process makes the movie better. It's definitely better than the sum of its parts. So I always feel slightly guilty taking the writer credit because it looks like I planned it all, when really there's a whole lot of collaboration on the way and a whole lot of mistakes which you don't see because they get taken out, obviously.
Yeah, and plus great work with Anthony and just the other, like Simon, other great actors. They can take what's flat on a piece of paper and just, when you actually see them on camera perform it, you get goosebumps sometimes to see like how they just said a certain phrase a certain way that gave it a life and a meaning that you never really thought of. I find that really exciting, and this cast was great at doing that.
And Anthony, so when you're reading the script, and Ken, you as well, like when you're reading the script, what's kind of going through your head of knowing that you're going to be playing this part? I know the actors like try to find the intention of the words, but like what I kind of get a little more granular about that because I'm not an actor. Like what kind of goes through your head as you're reading a script or your scenes?
As Simon had mentioned before, I have a long relationship with Ken, and we go back all to our teenage years, and both of us dabbling in acting at the time, even while he was in pharmaceutical school. And Ken had come to me several times about working on projects, and just because my schedule, it just didn't work out. This one happened to work out. But even in coming to me, he came to me with the script, and he came to me and said, look at these trailers. I saw the quality of the work that was in the trailers that Simon and Jamie had done, and said, these guys are doing marvelous things on with an independent budget. And that was enticing. Then looking at the script, and the great thing about this script and other script and the things we've done and opportunities that are afforded with independent filmmakers is that it's character driven. And so that there's really complex characters, and the way the through line goes for each character, that you can follow it as well. That for an ad, that's the meat that you want to sink your teeth into. And it's a wonderful opportunity for independent filmmakers doing that, looking at the character and looking at the entire through line, and then through conversations, developing what could be done. Like, for instance, Simon had come to me and said, hey, I've got this idea for this scene where you're looking back, your wife is deceased, you have your son. Can you forward me some pictures of anything that would show, maybe you with a relationship? Well, I'm a married man, and I forwarded a picture of my wife and I when we were a little bit younger. And then he digitally put an image of our son in there, which is Damir Kovic as a young boy. And that became also just another piece of the film. You're filling in all of these additional gaps that help to just create more and more character development as well. And building layers and layers for each one of these characters, whether they're a good guy or a bad guy in this film. They all become very complex character studies.
Yeah. And Simon, I do enjoy writing, and it's got to be amazing to have you write a screenplay and then go on the set and just have people say your words. And then someone like Anthony or Ken maybe did a certain way that you didn't intend to on the page, but you're leaning and go, oh, hey, let's go do that. But
very disappointing when they don't do exactly what I want.
or that. But is some of that kind of taken away when you're playing, when you're also acting?
It's one of those things that Jamie said earlier. It's wonderful to hear it brought to life, because I usually write in my own voice, but when they do it, they change it a little bit to make it sound like them, or they say something in a slightly different way, or they do something that you don't expect. And actually, when I was younger, I'd try to control that. But now that I'm a little older, and not as old as Ken or Anthony, certainly.
Is it true, Anthony and Ken, when they were younger, they used to babysit Joe Biden? Is that true?
It's nice to see that when we bring the scenes to life like that. Ken had a tough time because he was acting with me a lot, because I was doing the other half of his phone calls in his office, whereas in reality he was phoning Al Diaz's characters. Right. He didn't have the benefit of seeing Al Diaz do it, and Al Diaz didn't have the benefit of seeing Ken do it. So you have to, when I'm doing Ken stuff, I have to remember how Al Diaz sounded on his call, because that triggers Ken. But then if stuff plays out differently than you think it does. And that's, you're always learning on that one. On this, one of my favorite moments on this actually was Jamie was, we had scripted a scene with Callie, an actress playing Jess, and there was a scene where I was threatening her, and I wanted her on her knees and me walking around her sort of predatory style. And when Jamie came to, when we were actually shooting the scene, Jamie was like, I think you should sit down and she should stand. And I was like, oh, that would be literally the opposite instincts to me. I was like, I think I should be taller than her, sort of type thing. And he goes, I think you should be eating an apple. And I was like, and again, I would see that as, instinctively, I would think of that as the wrong way to go. I was like, oh, I didn't really see it like that. But I'm so glad they did it, because it was my favorite thing for me personally in it, because it made it was somehow more sinister, that I was so relaxed. And it made it more threatening. I don't know how it did.
I've seen this many times in other movies too. That's kind of where I stole it. But like the idea that like you're so powerful that you're going to eat food right now. Like I'm eating, and you're terrified. You're in a life or death situation, and I'm in charge of it, and I'm going to have lunch. There's just something about the crates, and then if you're seated and calm and collective, and they're shaking above you, I find that just a great visual, and it really works for them.
I think I won't go too much into the spoilers, but a really sinister part about that scene you're talking about is how relaxed you made her feel after that. And
yeah,
we'll leave it there.
Well,
but
right.
That
was fun, and it was that was one of my nice connectivity bits as well in the script to the outside world. So that's, for me, that's the first warning shot, as it were, I give the police chief outside. You know, like he incrementally realizes, you know, that we're unpredictable, and unpredictable in this scenario is pretty dangerous.
Did you get my message?
Yeah, so we're literally dicking them around, I think.
You know,
and the message is brutal.
I drew that, by the way.
So, what were some of the bigger challenges on the set? I'm sure you guys had a lot of fun, but like, I don't know, that something always comes up, bad weather, or I don't know, an apocalypse comes by, or whatever the case.
Simon got us locked in the second safe, so that was fun.
Accidentally, Jamie, because I was testing the door.
You're testing my patience, Simon.
Yes, I constantly try to do that. Yeah, we were exploring the second vault. There was 2 vaults in the bank. And they have an inner door and an outer door, and the outer door is like a smaller version, like with bars and stuff like that. So the first door is very heavy and looks like the vault door you think it would look like, but the second door is more like a little gate. And I just closed it when we were in there, when me and Jamie were on the inside, just to test if it closed and how it opened. And when it closed, it locked us in there for a very worrisome hour. Whereas a girl called Cara came along with a big box of keys to try.
When I bought the place, they gave me a box of keys. It weighed like about 25, 30 pounds. And we had to figure out in that box where the key was, if there was a key.
If there was a key.
Yes, if we weren't given a guarantee that there even was a key to this door. But me and Jamie had fun. He's forgetting about all the fun we had in that moment. He's just telling it now to embarrass me.
We had pages to do. And it was first thing in the morning, god damn it. Better overkill. I have to say, overall, with this particular shoot, it was pretty smooth, right? Like, really, we've had all kinds of problems on past shoots, but this was like a well-oiled machine every day. Remember, we even finished early some days, right?
Yeah, we did. We had a lot of the beauty of this shoot, which we were talking about earlier this morning, was that we filmed in a small town, Omro and Oshkosh, in Winner County, sorry. We had the massive support of the community. So like local people were helping making the film, not film people, just local people, but anything we needed somehow appeared. And because there was a bit of a can-do attitude from just everybody, and that made making our little indie film a whole lot easier. To be honest, anything we wanted throughout to Ken, and Ken usually knew someone that could get whatever it was. You know, this could be like fire trucks and things like this. So like, what's the chances of us getting a fire truck this afternoon? And then it appeared. So like, and it was actually one of the more glorious shoots, because everything was in sort of harmony for us.
And police cars.
And police cars. The police they were helpful all the time. But at one point we were like, oh, we just need the police car driving into the parking lot. And the police guy, he actually gave me the keys, and he was like, okay, yeah. And I was like, oh, but I need it like with the lights on driving in. And he was like, yeah, that's fine. I was like, so I'm just going to take the car out on the road, and I'll just drive it around the town, and I'll drive it into the parking lot. And he was like, yep. And he goes, I'll be back this afternoon for it. And he just left us with the keys. I was very tempted to drive around Wisconsin and dispense my own form of justice.
The scene that we did outside, the background was full of police cars and fire engine and uniformed people. And it was great. I don't even know what it would cost us. If we shot that in New York City and had to get a New York Fire Department and a bunch of New York City police cars, I don't even know what the budget for that would.
It's insane. It is. I actually looked at recently to get just a New York cop car, and the level of shit. Like the rent the car is $700, which is reasonable, but then you need a cop on site. No one can drive it. If you need someone to drive it, you need like it. It quickly becomes $5,000 to get that one cop car.
Yeah, well, the cops here were very helpful. I think I told this story before about one of the police guys that was helping us. I pointed out to him that I was like, "Oh, all these guns are they're fake. They're like airsoft guns. They're not real firing guns." And he was like, "Oh, so he's like, you need guns?" And I was like, "No, I'm just saying that these guns are they're not real." And he was like, "Oh, okay. If you need something, just tell me." And I was like, "These guy was going to go and get us guns as well. Like he thought we were short on guns." And I was like, "No, yeah," but he didn't care.
Yeah, a slight difference between Canada and the United States. I know that we have prop guns and like shoots that we do in Canada, and you need an actual permit to show that this is not a real gun.
Yeah, no.
So one time we were going in between. Weren't you driving the Mustang and you had one of the cars in the back seat
Yeah.
and you were speeding and you got pulled over?
You didn't need to mention the speeding bit, but yeah.
Oh, sorry. Well, yeah.
I was speeding over with a fake gun, like in Canada, and then I had 4 police cars around me because it was strapped to, it was like a gun strapped to my leg, so I couldn't take it off. And I had this like machine gun next to me in the passenger seat. And in Canada, this is in Canada, but like the 4 police cars, and I was like, "It's not real. It's not real." This woman cop that pulled me over just could not hear what I was saying. She was just like, 10, 20, with panic, eyes wide. I was like, "It's not real, and I can't take it off because it's strapped to me. So I'm not touching it, but I can't take it off. It's going to keep my hands up here." That was not the experience in Omro. It was great.
No, it was.
The cooperation of the community, and that goes to back to Ken and the relationships that he has with the mayor, with the police chief, with the fire chief, with the local merchants and people that own different things like the bait shop that was there, a restaurant that was there. It just played into, as both Simon and Jamie have been saying, the look of the film. And had you have to pull the permits and leases and all these other things that would have been done. That's part of the reason why the look of the film is so much more sophisticated, so much more real too, as well. And that you're able to accomplish so much more because of those relationships. And it was all that prep work that Ken and Simon and Jamie did to make sure that was all in place, so that by day one, when we start shooting, we have access to all of those logistics at the same time. And people cooperated. It was really terrific.
Yeah, amen to that.
Sounds like the takeaway is Omro's the secret hack to making movies. Just go to Omro and they'll get police cars, guns. We got it all.
And today, it was just announced, we just got notification today, the state of Wisconsin is now going to give more tax incentives, 30% tax incentives, up to $5 million that they're going to have bankrolled, because they realize that shooting film, that it just creates more work, creates opportunities for young artists in the state of Wisconsin. And as we know, the model that was what's going on in Hollywood and beyond, there's all these different cities now across the United States and Canada that are affording opportunity. And they have to in order to compete. When you're talking about a film like, for instance, Gladiator 2 shooting in Malta, part of the reason they're there is because they're offering so much cash incentives to come and shoot there, besides having those wonderful locations that you're not building sets and spending all of that money to do that. And you could shoot this high quality action film there. And the community, there was in Malta, it was some of the people that were there were complaining about the fact that they said, well, you're taking all your tax dollars and you're giving them to these American filmmakers. And the person who was in charge of the budgeting, et cetera, said, for every dollar that is given to them, we are realizing $3 to $5 back into our economy.
If you look at the typical independent filmmaker that's going to spend, I don't know, $50,000, $100,000, to them, that's a lot of money. Now, if they get 30% back, okay, so now they've got less money to have to try to recoup. Then we get guys like you, Eric, that'll help them, because when you give it to a distributor, yeah, they'll put it on wherever, some streaming service, they'll come up with some foreign deals. You add it all up, and a lot of times it comes short of what the actual production cost was. And so now you end up saying, how many times can I sustain a loss on a movie before I can't do any more movies? And when the state government or a local government steps up and says, we're going to help you with that, it really helps out a lot. And also, when we go out sometimes we look for investors that want to take a small amount, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, and be part of the production. All of that really helps to bring them in. And some guy's interested in the movies, or his daughter's taking courses in movies. And he says, guys, you come up with some good stuff here. I'd be willing to invest 10,000 in your next production. Boy, that sure helps. And I think that independent movies are really still going to be a very big part of the new movie industry that we're seeing right now, where we're getting a lot of streaming, a lot of episodic stuff. I still think driving audiences to take a look at them on their streaming services is a really good idea.
What's kind of some of the business aspects of filmmaking, like after the movie's done? Because previously it was put it on DVD or Blu-ray, and that was booming at the time. It's not so much now. But then now you got, and then with independent movies, it's hard to get them in theaters, so you got streaming. Like, is there like a way to pre-sell those, or like how does the business into that work?
The business end of it is not very well, because the old model was there were film distribution companies, and they would take your movie and secure the rights for a very long time, sometimes 10, 20 years. You sign on a dotted line and you've just given up all your rights to that movie for the entire world for 20 years. And now the company that told you, oh my goodness, yeah, we're going to make you rich on this one, we're going to distribute it here and here and here and everything else, they don't do it. They just don't do it. And you end up with nothing. You end up losing sometimes 70, 80% of the money you invested. So recently we started our own distribution company called Blue Eyes Media, and we're going to try to address some of these concerns. You know, we take them for 1 year, we take them. Hey, if a guy takes my film for 1 year and after 1 year doesn't do anything with it, I should be able to get those rights back. And so we're changing all the rules. There's other companies that are doing the same, to be fair. And I think we're going to see a lot better results coming up.
I also say, can I just say this to like independent filmmakers, that you got to really be careful with sales agents. There are companies out there that will just take your movie, and they like to have a big pretty poster with all the movies on it, but they don't really give it about any particular one, maybe one or two, but like most of them are just showpieces. I've had my experience with this in early things that I had made where like literally the very first documentary that I made, I signed with Adler and Associates. And this, stay away from this company, say this loud here. They will take it and they will basically have the rights for it for 10 years. And all I get, even though it's made money, is like these statements every month about how much money my movie's costing them when it's sitting on a shelf. So just be very aware with like any company that wants to take your movie. Talk to people that have already gone through this process and find out if they've ever made any money from it. It's very important.
I feel like there should be Yelp for film distributors.
Exactly.
Agreed. It's a terrible thing to work so hard on something, give it away. You got no legal rights anymore, and the company, you call them up and they got nothing for you.
Yeah. But I think at the end of the day, I guess if the film distributors own your movie, it wouldn't matter so much. But I think it's important for like people to seek out independent films such as this one. Because it's easy to go to the theater on a Friday night and watch the next Avengers movie or whatever, but no one goes and checks out the smaller movies.
Yeah, but what I'm very happy for is that I remember growing up my entire life that in August they would release comedies. And we have not seen that in 10 years. And now you have, there's a couple of movies, but the big one I'm super excited for that's being released like the first week of August is the new Naked Gun with Leslie Nielsen. And so I feel like there is a couple of there seems to be some returning of the way that it used to be when it comes to at least the movie releases, that they're like they wouldn't release an Adam Sandler movie. Adam Sandler movies are only made for Netflix now because no one would go to the movies to watch it, but they will watch anything he makes on Netflix from home on their couch. But I'm so happy to see that they seem to be returning to releasing movies like that in August and theatrically.
I feel like movie theaters need to retrain the audience, because I think a lot of the would-be moviegoers are used to it'll be on streaming in a week, I'll just wait till it comes home.
Yeah, that's why you're seeing too, like the re-release of Interstellar, or like these Lord of the Rings re-releases. They're re-releasing the Ninja Turtles, the original Ninja Turtles, with some bonus scenes or whatever. But people want to know what they're gonna see. I think we have all been jaded the fact you go see the big movie that everyone's telling you that you need to see, and then you don't like. I paid all this money to go see it. Like, just make good content. And I feel the past couple of years have been pretty good for cinema. I think like post-COVID, I think box office is getting close to where it was before COVID right now. That I don't see it dying. I think it's just going through the evolutionary process that it has done for the past 100 years. It's reinventing itself.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but it's just so when I think people forget the value of a movie theater. They think, oh, I'm just going to watch the movie. If that's all you want, you can watch it in the theater, you can watch it on the phone. Like, you'll get the movie in your eyeballs, but there's a certain feeling you get in the theater. You're not watching the same movie as you would be on your phone. Or
Absolutely not. And you can't stop it. When you're at home, you can pause it. You can order food. Like you're going to take a break when you have to go pee or something like that. But when you go to the movies, it's not only you can't do that and you got to put your phone down, you're completely absorbed in what you're watching. That like we used to go to church for this community gathering, and then the cinemas became that, and then we kind of lost it. And now I don't know, like I think we need that humanity needs a place where we all come together and
Right.
hear stories or watch stories. I think that should never go away. You'll never get that from watching a movie on your phone by yourself.
In that
Okay.
same vein, and I'm going to hand this to Ken, we were fortunate because of context we had as well to have some screenings on a large screen, which really served the film. I'll let Ken talk about that.
And for independent producers out there, we stumbled upon this, but I really think it's a great idea. We had a preview up here in the Oshkosh, Wisconsin area. I'd like to thank everyone who was involved up here and who were interested, family members, things like that. And then we also showed it down at the Avalon Theater in Milwaukee, where we had an actual premiere, a great old theater, my goodness, and they've done wonders in fixing it up, latest technology.
Lee Barzak.
Pardon? Yeah, and I used to go there when I was in high school. And the advantage to us was, oh my goodness, we're seeing our final movie on a big screen. And you know what we did? We immediately had a meeting between Simon, myself, I talked to Tony and Jamie, and we made some cuts. And we actually changed some of the chronological sequence of the film and made a much better movie to release. And I think that all independents should find a local, or maybe an older theater that's showing independence or whatever, maybe rent it for an afternoon, or maybe they might even let you use it for nothing. Bring us some people so you can get some feedback and see it on a big screen. And maybe you might want to change it a little bit. I think you will. And that's what we did. And I think we've got a much better movie because of it.
They usually in a movie with a crowd, you get into the weeds too much. It helps you, almost forces you to stand back and look at things differently.
Like when you make a movie, you're intending a certain story, you're like, shoot a scene, you intend a certain reaction, but you can't really control how a general audience is going to see it. So actually being in a room and having them watch it and just hearing how they react to certain bits, it's one of the best ways to know what's working, what's not working.
Yeah, I think, Jamie, you mentioned comedies earlier. I figure comedies would be extra helpful for comedies in that regard. Because like you read a script, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Not so hilarious the 100th time you've heard that same line. So you probably need fresh eyes on that.
Exactly. That a lot of like, John Apatow does that all the time. They both love it and hate it. But like you don't know a joke works because you might thought it was funny on set. You might thought it was funny when you're editing it, but after 100 times of hearing it, you're numb to it, and it's until you actually see an audience react to it, and it might fall flat. The thing you thought was really funny when you shot it and when you're editing, but when people actually see it, they don't get it, and you have to realize that and take it out or change it or do whatever you got to do. But you can't get that feedback unless people see it.
Yeah. I don't have the release for this. Here
July
we go.
29th.
The North American TVOD digital release on July 29th. Yeah, definitely check it out. Does this have any sort of theatrical release at all, or?
It screened already at festivals actually, and it won a couple of awards. So he did a bit of a festival run just before this, after the preview that we had. Managed to get into a festival. We're very proud of our sort of Wisconsin roots on this one. So it was.
It won Best Picture, and then Best Actor. Did you win Best Actor? Yeah.
Yeah, best. I think
Best Pants. You got one Best Pants.
One best haircut.
Yeah, we did.
Eric, before we go on, how do you change the background of your thing? I'm not too fond of Tony being in the background of your thing.
Yeah, I was going to watch
a still of Simon.
And handsome face alone.
It just comes with the Zoom. I can't take it off.
Like, come with the Zoom.
You're stuck with me.
I don't mind. But just I want to get a movie recommendation from each of you. Just a movie that you think is real personal to you, or a movie that's like, this movie's real good and no one ever talks about it.
The Omro Heist?
Obviously that. After they watch the Omro Heist, where are they watching after that?
My favorite recent movie, I think, is The Death of a Unicorn with who's in it? The girl who plays Wednesday and fucking Ant-Man. What's his name?
Paul Rudd?
Paul Rudd, yes.
Oh, I've not seen that one.
It's really good. It's an independent A24 movie, and it's character driven, and it's unique, it's different, and it's a great story.
Ken, what about you? No.
Got nothing. I can't.
Nothing that you really. What lurks beneath? Come on.
I was going to mention that another one that we did because we happen to have a submarine, and we shot a movie called What Lurks Beneath, which is now showing on Amazon. And I think it's a fantastic movie that never, you know what? That's a movie that more people should watch. And it really didn't get the play that I think it should have. So if you want to watch a great movie, watch What Lurks Beneath. It's great.
For doing this, okay, let's say Hell's Day Influencer 1. And also, yeah, watch that now because 2 and 3 are coming out later this year.
And Tony, what's your favorite Simon Phillips movie?
I'll say Omro Heist. I'll go with that one first. The doing things with a tight budget and location, you know, I don't think it was a perfect film, but Nona's, I think that was an interesting little film as well. I'm a fan of the throwbacks, and I keep looking at or seeing trailers of Carlito's Way, the Equalizer films. I love the Equalizer films, and that's what I aspire to do, is that quality of film as well, contained and character driven. That's what gets me. As far as comedies, and I'll go to a different story as well, and with the editing process, I love the Marx Brothers stuff, and specifically in Night at the Opera. And Night at the Opera, when they did their original, the Marx Brothers were taking the material, comedic material that was written, putting it into their vaudeville act and putting it on the road, and it was killing. They put it together in the film, and all of their jokes were not landing, and they couldn't figure out in test audiences what was going on. They eventually figured out the fact that they were not leaving enough space for the audience to laugh and react and then go to the next joke. And once they built in, after seeing that with live audience, and they started building that in with the editing process on a large screen, the film became a huge box office hit. So again, it's part of the process of creating that goes beyond just the shooting and testing it with an audience.
Okay, I will mention one real quick. 7 Days in Utopia. It was shot in 2011, and this is right back to our point. Small production company. They happen to get a wonderful star in it, and they shot this wonderful movie. They gave it to a distributor who promptly went bankrupt, and it was tied up in bankruptcy court for 8 years. They finally got a release on it, and it's a wonderful movie. 7 Days in Utopia.
Nice. And Simon?
Well, the Omro Heist, obviously, is my new favorite movie.
Nice.
But my all-time favorite movie, I think I've told a few people this, is Leon, the Luc Besson movie.
Oh, The Professional?
The 90s. Just a perfect movie. And if you know that about me, and you know that one of my favorite actors is Gary Oldman, you can probably see a lot of things I steal from Oldman.
Yes.
His enjoyment and humor in relishing in being the villain. So that should all make sense now.
Yeah, the Omro Heist comes out on July 29th. Simon, Anthony, Ken, Jamie, thanks for joining me, and congratulations on the movie. And hopefully Ken will dig up an International Space Station. You guys can do a sci-fi movie next.
We're on.
I love it.
Over there, we roll on Monday.
Don't forget, Sean Duffy has just been put in charge of the United States Space Program, and he's from Wisconsin. Doesn't live far from me, so maybe we will have that space.
All right, you guys have a great day. Thanks.
Cheers.
Thanks, Eric.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. For more movie and television reviews and interviews, please subscribe to my Deepest Dream channel. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always, thanks so much for your support. Take care.